All right, so I'm making a video going over the review worksheet only. I'm not going to probably go through every single one, but I'll go through a majority of each. All right, so for the first one, it's just taking out the common factors. So your quiz will say take out your GCF. All right, so remember, the first thing is we want this to be written in standard form. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this as 10b to the fifth plus 90b squared minus 90b. All right, then to figure out our GCF, we look and see, do we have a common variable in all? We do. And then we look and see, well, which one's our lowest power? It says b to the first. So we're going to take out b as our variable part of our GCF. Then we look at 10, 90, and 90 and see, is there a common factor between all of them? Yes, 10. So that means 10b is going to be my GCF. So to figure out what I have left over, I can divide all of these by 10b. And then what's left over is b to the fourth plus 9b minus 9. All right, remember, when we're factoring, we are trying to figure out what do we multiply to get to here. All right, this next one I'm going to do is number 2. I'm going to skip number 4 and number 3 because it's all the same. Number 2, same thing. We look, okay, it's in standard form. And then we look and see, do we have a common variable in all? And yes, we have k. So I'm going to take out a k. Well, what is our lowest power? It is this k squared. Then we look at 2, 8, and 18. What GCF do we have between those three numbers? And that is 2. And now remember, the one important thing I was telling you to look for is our first term must be positive. So that means if it's negative to begin with, my GCF has to include a negative sign so I can change this to be positive. So I'm going to divide each of these by negative 2k squared. And what I have left then is a positive 9k squared, a negative k, and a negative 4. So this is our GCF. All right, and this is our factoring out our GCF. So our GCF is negative 2k squared, and this is our factored form. All right, now for some of these, I'm just going to not go through all of them, but we use the x method. We draw the x. We put the multiplication. We use the plus. All right, remember, I know I'm using the x method, or at least I'm going to try the x method because it's being raised to the second power. All right, then our first term and last term, we multiply. That gives me 1 times 60, gives me 60. The middle term, the number in front of our linear term, in front of our a, gets put up here where the plus sign is. Now, since this has a positive sign, that means my signs are either positive and positive or negative and negative. Well, which one is it? Well, if they multiply to give me a positive number and they add to a negative number, I know that both of them have to be negative. So I will make this negative and negative. So now I can get started. So I'm looking for factors of 60. If you're not sure, you can write them off to the side. 1 and 60, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, 5 and 12, and 6 and 10. And then look and see which one of these add to 10. Well, 6 and 10 do. So I know my factors are going to be negative 6 and negative 10 because they multiply to give me positive 60 and they add to give me negative 16. And now we divide. Well, we divide by the number in front of our x squared, or a squared in this case, so that will be 1. And this gives us our factored form. We started from the bottom, now we're here. So it's 1a minus 6. Started from the bottom, now the whole class here. 1a minus 10. Right? And you can write it as a minus 6 and a minus 10. So this is our factored form. Right? So for number 6, remember, you must write this in standard form first. So it will be x squared plus 11x plus 28. If you don't write it in standard form, it's going to be difficult for you to factor because you might end up multiplying the wrong things together. So we draw our x, we write our multiplication and our addition sign. We multiply the number in front of our x squared, which is 1 in this case, and our constant, which is 28. The middle term, the linear term, goes in the top with our plus sign. So once again, they multiply to give me positive, so I know it's going to be positive and positive or negative and negative. Well, which one is it? Well, if they multiply to give me positive and they add to positive, that means both of the signs must be positive. So I can go ahead and write plus and plus. Now we're looking for factors of 28 that add to 11. Well, factors of 28 are 1 and 28, 2 and 14, and 4 and 7. Well, which ones add to 11? 4 and 7 do. So now since they're both a positive sign, it doesn't matter where I put them, 4 and 7. I'm going to divide by the number in front of our a squared, which is 1, or an x squared in this case. And then that gives me my factored form. We started from the bottom, now we're here. So 1x plus 4. Started from the bottom, now the whole class here. 1x plus 7. So our final answer, you can write it like that, or x plus 4 and x plus 7. All right, I am going to skip number 8 because it's very similar to the ones that we just did. And I'm going to go through number 7 now. All right, so for 7, same thing. We get started by drawing our x. We do our multiplication and our addition. We multiply the numbers in front of our x squared, which is 1, and our constant, so it gives me negative 80. And the number in front of our x goes to, I don't know why I circled a plus sign, but the number in front of our x goes to where the plus sign is. So now this is a negative. Well, if we're multiplying two numbers that give me a negative, one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So now when we're looking at the factors of 80, we're not going to add these together. We're going to actually subtract them, because if one of them is positive and one of them is negative, when we combine them, we would actually subtract. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. 1 and 80, 2 and 40, 4 and 20, 5 and 16, and 8 and 10. Well, which one, when we subtract them, have a difference of 2? 8 and 10. So we will put an 8 and we will put a 10. Right, now we divide by the number in front of our x squared, which was 1 in this case. So each of these will be divided by 1. And then, started from the bottom, now we're here. 1x plus 8. Started from the bottom, now the whole class here. 1x minus 10. And then we just rewrite this as x plus 8 times x minus 10. All right, remember, it doesn't matter the order in which you write the factors. You could write x minus 10 times x plus 8, and you're still correct. All right, I'm going to skip number 9 because it's the exact same thing that we just did for number 7. And I'm going to do number 10. All right, so number 10, there's something you have to realize. Our leading coefficient here is a negative. We don't want it to be negative. We want it to be positive. So that means we're going to actually factor out this GCF. So we're going to factor out a -1 so that way we can change our first sign. A lot of you were not doing this in class and you're getting it wrong because of it. You can still factor it correctly if you do not factor out this negative. But as you guys all saw, it was hard for you to get the right answer. So now I'm going to focus on just this trinomial and I'm factoring this out. And I'm going to circle this -1 because I don't want to forget about that. I draw my x, I do my multiplication, my addition. I multiply the number in front of my x squared, which is now a +1, and my constant, and that gives me a -45. And the number in front of our x just drops to the top. Same thing as the one before. So since it's a negative sign that we're multiplying to, it has to be a negative and a positive number. So when we go through our factors of 45, we will be subtracting these. So 1 and 45, 3 and 15, and 5 and 9. Well, which one of these have a difference of 4, 5, and 9? So now where do I put my 5? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention when I was going through this. Just kind of rushing to try and get through. I'm actually down in Sukna right now, so I'm just trying to get through so I can go onto the beach. But anyway, when we found a difference of 8 and 10, we need to say, well, where's the positive number here is 2. So a larger number has to be positive, and then a smaller number has to be the negative. So that way when we combine them, it gives me the +2. So this would have been +10 and -8 and +10 and -8. Sorry about that. So here, as I was just saying, 5 and 9 are two numbers. Well, where does the 9 go? It goes with the positive sign because since this is positive, the larger number has to be positive. So it'll be 9 and -5. So then we divide by the number in front of the x squared, which is 1. This gives me my factored form. Started from the bottom, now we're here. So 1x minus 5. Started from the bottom, now the whole class here. 1x plus 9. And we can rewrite this if we want as x minus 5 times x plus 9. All right, I'm only going to go through one of these. I'm not going to go through 12. I'm going to go through 11 because it's the same thing. All right, so remember, very first step, rewrite it in standard form. Second step, take out a GCF. Well, all of these are divisible by 5. So I have a GCF of 5. So I will take this out. And now my new factor trinomial is a squared minus 3a minus 40. And then I'm going to look to just factor this out. See, can it factor? Well, we'll draw our x method. Put our multiplication and our addition. Once again, we know that this number in front of a squared is 1. So now it's 1 times -40. It gives me -40. The -3 will drop into the plus sign. If it multiplies to give me negative, I know it's positive and negative. So now when I go ahead and look at my factors of 40, I'm going to then subtract them. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, and 5 and 8. Well, which one has a difference of 3? 5 and 8 does. So where do the numbers go? Well, since this number is negative, our larger number has to be negative. So it's -8 and +5. We divide each one by the number in front of the a squared, which is 1. And this gives me my factored form. Started from the bottom, now we're here. So it'll be 1x plus 5. Started from the bottom, now the whole class here. 1x minus 8. And remember, you cannot forget about this GCF you took out earlier. That's the thing that I think a lot of you are going to forget. And I was telling you, if you guys all don't forget, I'll give you all a bonus point. All right, but if one person forgets and you don't get it, and we can rewrite it as 5 times x plus 5 times x minus 8. All right, I apologize for the mistake. I was just trying to rush it through here, or not that one, this one. But that is it for this video. If you have any questions, let me know.